And once again, welcome to the Building Men podcast. My name is Dennis Meralda. I'm joined by my brother, partner in crime, on our weekly spot here. We're calling, what is this, like the Brotherhood Building Men weekly?
weekly weekly brotherhood meetup. The brothers talking about brotherhood.
All right,
Brothers on brotherhood.
brothers on brothers. Brothers on brotherhood. Let's not go there. So, Building Men
Okay.
is geared toward helping you become the strongest version of yourself, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. It sounds like your voice is a little bassier today. Like I'm
Is
noticing
it?
a lot of audio stuff now. I guess having to.
Good morning, everyone. This is Anthony Meralda with uh
You sound like you're gonna do like a late night romance podcast.
I would love to do that. I feel like if I get my voice a little deeper and kind of lean into the mic a little bit, it has like more of a bassy sound.
Like a baritone
Yeah.
sound.
As John Johnson Rod comes into the room, he notices his lovely.
Hey,
That
it
would be.
took us 1 minute and 45 seconds to get to John Johnson Rod.
I know. I don't know why that's always the name that I go to. I
He's
just like it.
he's your alter ego.
Yeah. Yeah. He sure is. He's really what I want to be. He's what I'm striving to be. Um, but yeah, I feel like when you have a mic in front of you, you can't even see it up here. This down. I should get like a stand for it. But I feel like when you have a mic in front of your face, I feel like I have to talk with like a deeper voice. I have to like, even though you could just talk normal, but I feel like I have to change my voice around a little bit when there's a mic in front of me. Is that weird?
No, it's not weird at all. I understand what you're saying, and we're so critical of our own voices.
Yeah.
I know if I listen back to a podcast, I'm like, oh my god, I cannot sound the stand of my voice, or I can't stand the sound of my voice.
Sound the stand. Sound it and stand it.
That's
When
probably
I heard it, when I heard my voice, I never listened to the podcast that I was on because I hated hearing my voice. I just felt like I didn't like the way that it sounded. And I was like scared to listen to it. But after you hear it enough, you're like, oh, it's not that bad. You get used to it. And when you hear it more times and you're used to yourself doing it and you condition yourself enough, it really isn't that terrible. But when you first hear your voice on camera, you're like, oh my God, is that what I sound like?
right.
Like, that's
Would
awful.
anyone listen to me? I have nothing
Yeah.
important to say.
I sound so unintelligent and terrible, and I'm a bad person and I hate myself.
But you don't think that anymore.
Of course not. No, 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 I don't. I think I have a great bassy romance voice. A
So it's
late
John Johnson Rod.
John Johnson Rod. Yep.
And so we're ready to go and this week we have a couple things that I sent you two things, maybe we can talk about, but there's no script with this.
Mhm.
But before we get in, obviously one of our traditions is whenever we start an episode, we talk about, you know, just what's going on with your appearance here. So I noticed it's a Hawaiian Friday.
Yeah, I want to get into more floral pattern shirts. I really like the way they look on me. I'm really into them. Long sleeve and short sleeve too. I think
Long
that's
sleeve
important.
floral patterns, huh?
Yeah, and if I roll up like I want to get a long sleeve floral pattern shirt and kind of cuff the sleeves up like quarter length, like halfway up the forearm. And with the glasses and a long sleeve floral pattern, I feel like that's quite a combo. I'm really excited. And with like shorts on, maybe some like boat shoes, I feel like that's a recipe of a hero right there. Somebody who's changing the world.
It's a recipe for something.
It's something, yeah, whatever you want to look at it. But I that's what I'm into now. I want to. So I only have like I have this one and one other one, but I think that's where I'm gonna spend my next paycheck is just splurge on floral pattern shirts or Hawaiian shirts, just kind of go nuts.
Yeah, that was the advice of your financial planner, right? Instead of investing it in your future, the stock market, go with
Right.
3/4 length sleeves, floor pattern shirts.
He's like, Anthony, listen, you should invest some of this, you should put it back in the bank, put it into the savings account. And I was kind of like, or now hear me out. What if I do half towards floral pattern shirts and then the rest towards short shorts?
That's called a portfolio diversification.
Is
If
that
I'm
what it is
using
that what
that
it's called?
term correctly, I believe that's what it's called. And you went with the glasses today.
Yeah, I like them a lot. I'm a big fan. I think I was thinking about going like the circle glasses at some point, you know, but I like these two. I feel like I like the wider, like the larger looking glasses, not the small ones. You need to be like a certain person to pull off like the thin glasses, you know. I I'm trying to think who I picture with the thin glasses. Remember the Truman Show?
Yes.
What the hell's the guy's name who was controlling the entire thing?
Oh, what was Ed Harris was the actor.
Yes, yeah,
He had like a one name thing. It's gonna
I
drive me
know.
nuts until
And
like it wasn't Morpheus. That's from
no,
it
no, no,
was a
but
name like that.
it was like a one name person, like Cher. It was like I forget what it was, but he had the glasses that were like clear, but they were the small ones.
Yeah,
You know exactly what I'm talking about. Like
I
it
know
was literally
exactly what
like,
you're talking about.
and that's what I look at, like that person who wears that kind of like outfits and looks like that has those type of glasses on, you know. And I think Steve Jobs had thin glasses
He
too,
did really
right?
thin.
Yeah, like extra thin. So I feel like you have to have a certain level of intelligence to wear the thin glasses, which I don't have. So I get bigger ones. So I guess that puts down my IQ level. I don't know how it works.
So
I just don't want
I don't
small
understand. I
glasses.
mean, obviously, this has become our tradition, spending the beginning of the show just talking about your physical appearance.
Yeah,
Plus, it gets you. We have an opportunity to stroke your ego a little bit, which I know you love that part of it.
I do love that. I like talking about me for the first 10 minutes. It makes me feel good.
So two
Yeah.
things. One, I need to. I don't see a whole lot of long sleeve Hawaiian shirts. I don't think I've seen that many
Mhm.
times in my life, but you have. You're saying.
I have. Yeah, I saw two people walking around with those on and I was like, yeah, I could do that. I feel like at Express, that store, they have a lot of those.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm again, I feel like I'm comfortable enough with myself to wear that because I feel like there's a point in my life where I couldn't do that. Um, but I think I'm ready. And I've only seen a couple people, and that's kind of why I want to wear them, you know, because not many people, I don't see them a lot. You don't see those long sleeve ones, and like the ones that you would like cuff up and the sleeve because they know you're going to cuff them up. So underneath, when you cuff them up, is a different pattern, right? And that's a whole nother experience. I'm mostly doing this for other people. Like I think I'm helping other, just kind of giving them some visuals and things to work with. So
Most of the people that have reached out to me since you've been on have just said how much you're helping them with their
yeah,
fashion sense and
yeah,
their
I know.
physical. Yeah,
I'm doing it for everyone else. You're welcome.
that was
So
Basie too, Johnson
yeah,
Rock.
yeah.
So it's funny. All right, so I was gonna go here, but let me go there. Let me go here. You just talked about at some point in your life you wouldn't have been able to do that, to kind of
Mhm.
step outside of your comfort zone. So what do you think it was? Was it a specific moment in your life that you feel like, all right, I feel like I'm a little bit more ready to step outside of my comfort zone in a couple different ways, or was it a gradual build up to that point?
I think I just wanted to be I've always wanted to like do certain things like this, you know, and be this type of person. And I did it when I was younger, but then there was a point after like probably like sixth grade in middle school where I was so scared to do that because I just wanted to go along with the crowd and what the trends were and what everyone else was doing. But deep down, it was like I wanted to be goofy and silly and wear certain things. And I like certain, you know, things that maybe didn't go along with what everyone else was doing. And I was too nervous to do it. It just freaked me out too much. I felt like I was going to be judged and I let other people kind of control me in that sense. And I wasn't comfortable in my own skin, you know, and like, and not that this is me, if anything, this is me feeling comfortable, you know, like I feel, so it's not like I'm going outside of my comfort zone. I'm like leaning into my comfort zone that maybe makes other people feel uncomfortable. I don't know. I don't know how to put it in a way, but yeah, it's like that's sort of where I just remember when I was like younger, I like for Halloween, I would go all out. I would dress up like a grandma when I was in fifth grade. I full blown like the whole entire outfit. I had like a wig on, I had this dress on. I'm just sitting in class dressed up like a grandmother. And it was fantastic. It was so good. And then all of a sudden I just stopped doing that, like, because I was too cool to do that. And I never dressed up, even though deep down I loved Halloween and I enjoyed it so much. And I wouldn't do it because I was embarrassed to do that, because I was scared that there would be people who would think I was stupid for doing that, you know. And like, I remember I would just wear like the Zubaz pants that you used to have to school
Yeah.
all the time. Like, I would just be like, yeah, screw it. I'm gonna wear Zubaz pants today. And it's not like anyone was wearing, they're from the fucking 80s. No one was wearing Zubaz pants. And I slapped on Zubaz pants and went to school. Because I was like, yeah, screw it. This will be
Right.
funny, you know? And then I stopped because I was just got worried. And now I'm starting to rediscover myself a little bit.
Your inner Zubaz.
My inner floral self.
It's such a good point. And so we both come from this. We both have this in us where we will do stupid shit for a laugh. You
Mhm.
know, well, I mean, self-admittedly, I've put on some stupid shit over the years. I definitely, there's pictures of me floating around somewhere where I put on something to mom's and, came downstairs. I remember dad looking at us like, what the fuck?
Where did I go
Where
wrong?
did I go wrong that my son, my boy, he has a leotard right now. But within that, we still got this, sense of masculinity and whatever. But we still, we're comfortable enough to be like, fuck it, I don't care what people think. So
Yeah.
here's what I want to talk about today. I just changed what I want to talk about, and we're gonna roll with it. All right. So you just mentioned there's this point where you you just were like, fuck it, I want to. This is what I'm comfortable with. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to wear 3/4 length floral, button down shirts and these glasses and short shorts and boat shoes. That's what I'm comfortable with. At some point, or Zubaz or whatever, at some point in your life, you mentioned that you stopped doing that because you're so worried about what other people thought. All
Mhm.
right, so here's the topic that I want to think about. I'm trying to like work through it in my head right now, but basically this is it. All right, so how do we go about making sure that we are true to our identity or our individual selves, like what we feel we want to be and our true calling, like that, what is on the inside of us. But we also there's also this need to be a part of a tribe at the same time. I really feel like men need to be a part of a tribe of men that will kind of help push them. So how do you balance that need for autonomy, individuality, with the need to be a part of something? And again, this is just I'm throwing it out at the wall and let's see what happens with it. Let's see where we can go.
So so your question is like, how do you be your true authentic self, whoever that is? Um, Figure out who you are, but also allow yourself to like have a group of people who you can rely on, or a support system, like a group of men. Like, you have a tribe, but you're also your own person. Is that what
Right.
you're saying?
You don't lose your identity joining this group.
Yeah.
It's a big question. I mean, it's a question we could
Well,
talk about
that
for weeks, I'm sure.
so with a tribe, I think that the tribe that you're with, your group of men, because I think we all need a group of specifically men in our life, because I think they're, you relate to men, relate to other men um much easier than they would women, in a sense, just because, this is um kind of where it's just easier to relate to them, right? So I think that when people have something maybe that you aspire to be, or something that you want in yourself, having them around you is very important. Like, what's the saying? Like, you're the average of the 5 people you're closest to in your
Right.
life, right? So you want to bring people around you who you aspire to be like, or who push you, or who I think bring out your true self, like that you're who accept you for who you are, but they also have something that maybe you can learn from. Like, it's a group of men that kind of grow together. Maybe they're all down their own path, but everyone has their own thing that they're bringing to the table, and you feed off each other and grow off each other and push each other. Does that make sense? So like,
It does.
it's hard to, you can have both, right? You can still be your own person. You don't, if you're changing for the group, then that's not the right tribe that you're in, right? That's what I think. If you're tweaking who you are in order to, fit into their puzzle piece, then that's not what it should be. You're all completely separated, but you're all bringing something to the table that helps others grow, and that's why they want to be friends with you. That's why you're in their tribe, and vice versa. So
So it's not being a part of that tribe. It's not like completing a puzzle. It's more like, throwing shit into a salad. They complement each other. All the different things are a part of the greater good, but you're not trying to change a carrot to make it into, spinach.
I don't even know what to say there. Did you just relate being having a group of friends to like a salad?
I did. I think I just went there.
Big,
Listen,
a big salad?
great salad.
A big salad. Okay.
Listen, I toss the salad out there, and you do what you want with that
Don't
sauce.
make I don't my carrot shouldn't be your cucumber. Is that I'll never be a cucumber if I'm a carrot in our big salad of men.
Listen, I gave it a shot. What do you want me to do?
I just never, I feel like there's so many things you could have said there.
So many better things that I could have said.
We're a diverse group of vegetables in an assortment of a bedded lettuce.
Uh,
No, but that it makes sense, and we all sort of like, and together we can all grow like, and it's that idea that one person doesn't need to, everyone can grow together as a team, right? And when you're with this group of people, you can all level up together. Like for me to be successful, it doesn't mean you need to be unsuccessful. We're all down our own path. We all have things in common. Like I relate to you and you're in my tribe because we have a similar vision, but I bring things to the table that you don't bring, and you bring things to the table that I don't bring, and we feed off each other and we call each other out when we need it. And like, um, I think it's just so important to have that. And originally, a tribe, we needed a tribe for protection and for security, right? It was like you needed this for, and it still happens today. Like you want someone who's going to have your back, but it's not as much as like, you know, to the death. You need someone like, or you're going to die when you go out there and walk around in the world. But it's more of like, knowing that when I'm having a conversation with someone, that you're going to have my best interest in mind and you're looking out for me and you're going to help me out and push me, so it changed a little bit, but it still has that same value and that same meaning as it used to.
so it might not be where it used to be that tribal sense was a physical protection kind of thing, where now I feel like it's more of an emotional, mental protection or belonging. Human beings just have a need for relationship, connected, and to be a part of something. And I totally believe, and this was something that I did as a principal. I always wanted the kids in the school to feel like they were part of something larger than themselves, a part of a group. So they needed to have sense in school, sense or a pride in school, and pride in what they were doing, pride in a larger mission. So we always did, things that would benefit our community, benefit surrounding communities that were maybe less fortunate, benefit the world. But it gave this sense of like you have this shared mission, this shared identity where you're doing something for the good of other people that are surrounding you. And so maybe that tribal sense where it's not so much the physical thing anymore, it's just feeling that connection to other people in an emotional, kind of mental, spiritual way.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's definitely allowing yourself to have a same, like allowing yourself to be kind of open and vulnerable, but also like, because I think that's a big part of it too, is that vulnerability aspect and being your true self, but also knowing that like as a group, you're after similar things. You're kind of after, you have all of that, you have all that in mind, you have the same thing in mind, if that makes sense. Like just everyone's sort of looking at the same goal, but how you get there is very different. But again, it's just supporting each other, being there for each other, being that person to lean on and to give you that advice that you need in certain times, whether good or bad. And almost like forcing you to be your true self, right? It's like, you don't want me to be, you would be pissed at me if I just told you what you want to hear. You wouldn't want me to do that ever. You would want to force me to kind of bring out this authentic self and what I'm feeling all the time. And because if you found out later on that I felt some type of way and I just told you what you wanted to hear, then that would, you would call me out for it and be like, why would you do that? You don't think I could handle it? Do you not trust me? Do you not feel like I'm as close to you as you want? Like, how do you think I'm going to react? Like, I'm one of your best friends. Why do you think I'm going to react in a certain way? So And I think that that's what a tribe is. That's what your support system is those people who will love you no matter what, no matter who you are, no matter what you bring to the table. They're going to be there for you. It doesn't make a difference what you do, you know, barring some maybe like killing babies or something. But I think that's should I not have? Okay, I don't just maybe we cut that.
You listen. This is just authenticity at its best right now.
Okay.
But it wasn't like you endorsed that
No, for
action.
the record, don't kill babies. I'm saying if you did kill babies, I wouldn't support you in the baby killing. I would just be like, we need to have a further conversation and maybe get you some help, versus just being like, you're a terrible person. I mean, you're pretty shitty if you're doing that. All right. So what?
Kind of the deep rabbit hole there. And I'll try to pull us back out real quick. So I
Yeah,
will
yeah.
say, in the last, especially the last year of our lives, there's been several times where you and I have had those difficult conversations, kind of calling each other out for shit that's happened. Either historically or just in the moment where we were just like, "Hey, listen, what's going on with you here? Like, why did you do that? Or like, what do you need help with?" When we can kind of see that on each other's faces. So, we're part of a larger tribe of men, but we also have this like, pair tribe as well. We're kind of our own brotherhood tribe, you and I, which is it's a nice thing to have. But we've definitely had that thing over the past, like I want to say, especially the last year, where we were like, whatever the bullshit was going on, we didn't hesitate to call each other out on it, but
Yeah.
because we wanted to make each other stronger and better.
Mhm.
And to your point, if you're hanging out with fucking five guys that are sitting around playing video games, eating pizza, drinking a six pack, four times a
Then
week,
you're
you're
going to be the
gonna be
sixth person
you're gonna
sitting
be the sixth
around.
one. You're gonna be the sixth one. But conversely, if you're hanging out with people that are, getting up early and pushing themselves physically and trying to do things to inspire other people, guess what? You're gonna be the sixth one that's going to be doing those same things. So it's an opportunity to take a step back and just look at who you're surrounding yourselves with, and what is their mission, what is their purpose. And if it's not aligned with who you want to be, I mean, you could still be friends with those people and acquaintances with those people, but start kind of shifting where you're putting majority of your energy, because where you put your energy needs to be based on where your purpose lies. What are your goals, what's your mission in life to move in that direction.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's exactly what it is. And it's like you move in those like vibrations of where everyone else is. If you have someone who's at a low vibration all the time with energy and they're, down all the time and upset and depressed and, self-loathing and a pessimist, then you're going to bring them down. Just like when you go somewhere and you can feel like they're like an energy sucker, right? You've heard that before,
Yeah,
where people will bring down the energy of the entire room because they're having a bad day. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens because their energy is sucking the life out of the room. So when you have friends like that and people in your tribe that are constantly downers, then you're going to start to feel that, versus when you have someone who's just like all in and vibrant and loving, and they bring all this positivity to the room, then it brings you up to that level as well. So, and it's not like people don't have bad days, everyone has that. But overall, I feel like having friends around you that have a bigger purpose, that are going after things, that have drive, that have all the things that you aspire to be, or that you want, or you're actively working on, or you have similar to them, you could be doing completely different things. Like every single one of my friends do something different with their life, but we all have drive. We all have a purpose. We all have a reason why we're doing it, but we're all completely in different spots in our life right now as far as what we're getting after. But we all similarly push ourselves in our own life and what we're doing. And I think that's why I'm attracted to them and why I keep them around in my life, because they help me get better. Versus there's been some people who just didn't do that. It was just like, I knew that they weren't good for me. And it's not that I like had to have a conversation with them or I was like, I can't talk to you anymore. I stopped actively trying to put energy into that relationship. You know what I mean? Because like where you put your energy in is very important. Like you only have so much to give, and where you push with that. And it's just like with time, I think energy is the same thing, where like where that energy kind of is flowing in that moment is very important. So like you want to use that very wisely.
So it's almost like doing an inventory over the course of a week or a month, thinking about how you spend your waking hours. You get 24 hours a day, and during those hours in a day, what are you putting your energy into? Is it something positive for yourself and for other people around you, or like you just mentioned, are you putting your energies into things that are detracting from you being better? It's interesting to think about it in that way over the course. There'll be times over the course of a couple months, like maybe you hang out with a couple people. It's like, you know what, I remember hanging out with them when I was in high school. We had a blast. That was, it was a shit show when we went out. But I'm not going to do that again for the next year or so. But if it's happening regularly over the course of a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you got to take an inventory on that and say, like, who are the tribe of men or people that I want to be around that can help pull me up when I'm feeling in a shitty spot, or just you just feel that energy around people that have the energy.
Yeah.
It's just like it's a contagious thing that happens when you're around people that you kind of vibe with in that way.
Yeah, and it works the other way. When you're not vibing with them, you could feel that too. I could feel when someone isn't, there's something about them that it's just it rubs me the wrong way, or just I know it's not doing anything positive for me. And again, it all has to do with that kind of like energy where we are. Like if you look at someone who's like newly in love, right? And you feel like they're a totally different person, right? They're completely different. Like I don't even recognize this person anymore. You know, it like they're glowing and they're like giddy and all this stuff. And it's because of that energy. Love is a higher vibration of energy than most other things are. So you're bringing that out and people can sense that, it happens to so many people, and you could see that. So like if you could continue to be at that higher energy and find people that are in that similar energy than you or as you, then you start to live that life. You start to be more like that, and that's more days than not you're living in that versus living in that lower energy level and feeling down and feeling upset all the time. So
I had a conversation with a guy named Ben Clark. I just published a podcast today. What's today? The 21st of May. I published a podcast today, and his Instagram is Fit Fathers and Men. You would really like his vibe. He was a former BMX bike rider, like a pro bike rider, and now he's a trainer. And his whole thing is like, what can you do as a father to help out your children, especially young men as they're growing up? Like, what are the lessons that they need to learn? And so he created this Instagram page. It's really cool. I appreciate just the way he is. And so as I'm talking to him, we just got on this tangent around what traits do boys have growing up? Like the physical traits, the kind of way that they show up. It's more, aggressive play. It's more, wanting to, battle with swords and, going
competitiveness. Yeah.
and adventures and kind of like, you know, taking more risks and, just kind of putting themselves out there a lot more. And then I said, well, when does that stop? Because what I've noticed over I saw it in myself, first of all, when I was looking in the mirror, a year and a half ago or whatever, I saw it in myself, like there wasn't this drive for any kind of excitement or adventure or risk or any level of like competitive
Play.
or play
Yeah.
or anything. And I was just like my soundtrack was wah, wah, wah. Like that's what, like I walked around like with like a rain cloud over my head all the time, and I'm like, I guess it's gonna rain today.
Like the commercials about like the
Right.
antidepressive things where they got like the cloud over them and they're just walking and they're just like, and then the
Yeah.
clouds part when they
take
yeah
Shitel.
yeah a breathinol or whatever the fuck it's called. Anyway, keep going.
So what was I talking about? Salads? Oh no, that was before.
I'm the carrot. Yep.
I am the cucumber. I would rather be the cucumber than the carrot. I got to be totally honest with you there.
The cute. Well,
I'm just saying, you said it. So
I know. That's very upsetting. Yeah, this is the story of my life. I'm just a carrot trying to show my worth. It's listen. If you just keep having cucumbers your whole life, at some point you're going to want a carrot. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be like, I wonder what that's like. It's probably exciting. There's probably more room for other things.
Oh my God. What
There's,
was I saying?
I don't know. You're talking about how like as you get older, you lose that like play,
Sure.
that imagination, that you had when you were a kid.
So my point with when I was talking to the guy Ben was, at some point we kind of lose that spot, and I don't know when it happens. I was like, maybe it's the first time you get laid. Maybe it's when you get married and you have kids, and now all of a sudden your life becomes more about like responsibility and but there's still a spot to be able to have that like being responsible and being accountable and kind of being like that head of the household, and protector of your family basically, and but still have that sense of like I'm still part of a tribe of men. I could still go out and do my shit. I'm gonna go and have fun and take risks and have adventures and things like that. Like I don't think they have to be mutually exclusive. It doesn't need to be that we need to get like, all right, I'm going to settle down and become a responsible adult. And now I got to lose that other side of me. So there's a way that we need to be able to do both, where we can still have that sense like, all right, I'm doing what I need to do, for my family, for my community, but also I can still have fun. I could still roll up my floral sleeves and show that I'm proud
Take
of
on the world and
take on
dip
the
your
world.
hands into a big salad. Yep. Um, no, that makes so much sense. And I don't even think it's like like you said, they don't need to be separate from each other. Like they never need to be, you can still be a responsible adult, but still live life, still be silly and still have play in your life and do that. I think the difference is like when we're younger, nothing is impossible, right? We have this imaginative like way of looking at the world because everything's so new. So like, this stick is a sword and we do this and we think about all the times you played and used things as like, imagine that it was something else and you were a pirate or you were doing this, and there were so many points in our life where we would just like, there was no holding back. Anything was possible.
Yep.
The world was just like all out there. Everything was new and it was possible. And all of a sudden we set limits for ourselves as we get older of like what we can and can't do because of what society says that you can and can't do. You can only make money if you're this. The only way to do, this is to, if you have this object or this house, or if you have, 3 kids and that's good. If you have one or you're not married by this age, that means that. It's just like we stop using our imagination. We stop looking at the world like anything is possible for us to get to. We can do whatever the hell we want. So like if we can look at our life, and it could be a little different. It doesn't have to be like using sticks as swords and playing pirates, but it can be like, I want the house that I want a $3 million home here, and I'm going to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to make a whole boatload of money with just doing a podcast, and I'm going to have a, mountain house in Wyoming, and I'm going to have this, and I'm going to travel the world, and I'm going to have 5 kids, and I'm going to have 5 dogs and all this stuff. And it's like, we stop telling ourselves that because we don't think it's possible, because we just assume that there's no way that that can happen. And it's not going to happen if we keep telling ourselves that. But in our head, when we were kids, for all I know, that was a fucking sword that I was holding and I was playing pirates and I felt like that. And like, that's enough for me. You know what I mean? So it's like, we lose that when we get older.
We grew up in Old Bridge, New Jersey, right? That's where, um, me and Tara, as we were young growing up, probably it was probably right around the time Megan was born, probably a little bit before Megan was born.
Mhm.
It was back in those times. It was like, especially during the summer, you would wake up in the morning and you would just go. Like me and Tara left the house and we would just go. And we there was a cul-de-sac by the house, and then there was a like a creek, and on the other side of the creek was this farm, and we would go on adventures. We would wake up in the morning and we would just leave and go on an adventure, and that's what we would call it. Be like, Tara, you want to go on an adventure today? And that's what we would do. So we went on adventures every summer until we got too old to go on adventures, and we would try to explore. I remember we would try to explore to find the end of the creek, and it went for miles. And, it was just this. It wasn't deep. It was maybe like 2 feet deep and maybe like 6 feet wide, 10 feet wide at some points. But we were like, if we could find the end of the creek, we're gonna get in the newspaper. That's what we're gonna do. And so we would go on these adventures to find the end of the creek. There was like an old junkyard back by the farm, and we would go on like this. Like there was like an abandoned school bus. It was such a fucking blast looking back on adventures, going on adventures.
Hmm.
What I would say, and what you were talking about is, living in this house in this spot. Like I want to live in a spot where I can go on adventures.
Yeah.
Go on adventures again. Why did we stop going on adventures? We need to
And
fucking do that.
you like you looked at it and it was so new and you had no idea what was at the end. You're like, oh my God. But now we have like the internet and this and that. And it's like we assume we know everything, right? It's just like, oh, I'll just Google it. Let me see what the end of the river looks like, and I'll see a picture of it. Versus when we were younger, we had to explore and come up with these crazy ideas of what could be because we didn't know. We had no clue. And like once we start looking at it like that and like that there's so much out there that we don't know and we can discover it and we can figure it out. It's like everything becomes possible. Everything becomes like this new adventure, like you were saying, that you can kind of figure out along the way. And it makes it so much more exciting. It's like, and that's how our life is right now. Like it's exciting and we have no idea what the hell's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know. We think we know. We like to decide what we're going to do and plan out our day, but we don't know. We have no clue, so.
And you mentioned the podcast. That's one of my favorite things about this journey is it's an adventure. I'll be
Yeah.
totally honest. Like I just realized that as we were talking, doing this podcast, especially when we get on every Friday, it's an adventure to me. One, we don't have a topic that we're going to talk about. We have a very, very loose idea. Like I said, let's talk about tribes today. Like let's talk about this idea of tribes. That was it. It wasn't like we need to touch on this or that. And it's an adventure. It's definitely part of that need for me going on an adventure. One, it's fun, being able to meet with you every Friday and bullshit and talk about life, and but then you discover these things about yourself during the conversation. Like, man, that's a need that I have in my life for getting outside of that comfort zone area and going on some type of adventure. And my life right now it's definitely an adventure, and I see this becoming something that will be able to continue and help other people in that way of looking for their own inner voice or their own tribe
Well,
or
like the one thing that I would tell people to try to do is go somewhere that you haven't been before and try and like don't use your GPS to get there. Like maybe like know somewhat the area a little bit and try and like like around the area that it is, but you don't know the exact directions. Like drive there and just leave your phone at home. And God, there was a point where we didn't have phones and people got somewhere, right? And now they're like, oh my God, but what if you get hit by a car and you got to, this happens and you're tired? It's like, well, let's just imagine that's not going to happen. And if it does, I'm sure you could figure it out. But like, if you do that, that's an adventure. That's like kind of a scary thing where you have no idea what's going to happen. And then the other thing I wanted to say was like, we decide what things mean as we get older. Like we put labels on things that maybe don't have labels or they don't need to have labels, right? Like we assume that, like I said, like having this big house means this, or having a family means this, or living here means that. Like we can just, when we're younger, I could tell you that this pen is a carrot, right? I could tell you that when you're younger and like, this is what it is. So your whole life, you would assume that that's what it is. As you're growing up, this means that, but we just put these labels on it and it limits our thinking and limits us to what is possible because we put labels on not just objects, but other experiences and other things going on in our life. We label it as this is what it means, but it's not. It's whatever it means to you. So it can change and you can change it. You just thought that way your whole life, and that's what you think what is, and it doesn't necessarily have to be.
and I could say that this microphone is a cucumber.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, you just stepped away from the camera a little bit. I noticed that the Deep V made an appearance again.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
How deep is
it's not as
it's not that deep, but it's
not
you
as
got some
deep.
chest lettuce going on there.
I know the taco meat. Yeah, showing up, baby.
So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to segue into just the idea of that tribal sense. We went through the rebuild program together. So I did a program in it was February through May, through the beginning of May, and it was a 12-week kind of course that we did together, and we called it the Rebuild Program. It started it kind of solo, and then you joined me about halfway through. We did a couple of videos together, and it was kind of about helping people that were in a spot in their life that they needed to, to kind of get out of this spot where people were kind of stuck in this, muck kind of spot. And so there were 15 people that were part of this program. And it was awesome. And
Yeah,
what I recognized was that it was a community. It was a tribe of there were 15 men together that went through this experience together, participated, and we're going to do something like that again in the future. So you and I are going to start up, kind of the same idea. We'll start up in probably mid-June, and we'll do something around that same idea. We don't have it totally locked down yet, but I just wanted to, give people that were listening an opportunity if they had any interest in joining. It's kind of like a 3 month brotherhood experience that we would go through in a couple different aspects, trying to help us, become better in, all the building men sense, emotional, mental, spiritual, physical, all those ways, kind of trying to, connect with one another, support each other, and get better in a couple different ways. So just took an opportunity to, throw out a brief commercial about that, because that'll be something just to look for us to be posting about it in the future. If you want any more information, you know where to reach out, buildingmencoach@gmail.com, or you could DM me on Instagram as well. So just a quick segue. And as I'm saying that, I don't know if you noticed, I'm not wearing my orange.
I know. I thought I
Right
was gonna laugh really hard if
now.
you were wearing it. Where did you get that? Is that from the run?
It was like
What's
I got sent this hat. It's Beast NYC.
you
And
got
so
sent it? Are they
yeah,
a sponsor?
well, I got it as
Beast NYC, brought to you by Beast NYC. Get your beast on.
get your
For,
beast on. I kind of it made me think of
for 10% off, type in the code word cucumber. Cucumber and carrots.
so it reminded me of Rex Kwon Do. That's
Yes.
the look of it, right?
Yeah. Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Yeah. You ever seen pants like this?
You want to take a roundhouse when I'm wearing these? Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Um,
What's the wife's name? Rhonda?
Thurla.
Sterla. Imagine going home to that every day.
Oh, so wait, real quick. So I remember the guy's name from Truman Show.
What was it?
It's Christoph.
Christoph. Yes.
Isn't that
Oh my
awesome?
God. Dude,
Christoph
and that's what do you say?
We had those really thin glasses. Ed Harris.
Yes, that's exactly even the name that I would picture someone with thin glasses like that would be named Christoph, right?
Yes.
Like that is so perfect. And no last name, just Christoph. No one knows. There's nothing else, just Christoph. I love that. God, that's fucking great. I'm so happy you remember
next
that.
week, if you can shave your hair, shave your head bald, wear skinny glasses, and maybe a turtleneck. I feel like Christoph has a
He does, yes. He definitely, I know he is. Yeah, it's like a black turtleneck, like a ribbed turtleneck too.
Yeah,
That's like
ribbed for everyone's pleasure.
yes, that's correct. Christoph. God, that makes me so happy you remember that.
Right. It usually takes me a while. It's so funny. Two things. One, that conversations that I have with Julie is once I hear something, I'm like, I need to find it in my brain. I need to recall it. I have this weird memory. Like I remember shit. Remember every kid that ever went to any school I was ever, working with, or any group of students. I remember every kid. And I remember stupid shit like that. I just need a little time to recall it. I knew I would get it. But the funny thing is, you were talking before about the adventure. And so we went hiking. I think we were in Ricketts Glen. It was like, northern, it was like near the Poconos kind of area. It was just awesome. We went to this it was like an 8-mile hike. There was a ton of waterfalls. It was awesome. But on the way home, I was like, and this was so not me. This was so counter the old me. I was like, let's just fucking drive. We'll come to a spot and we'll say, hey, let's go right here. Let's go left here. Let's go straight here. We didn't have anything to do that day. So I was like, let's just, we'll go on this tour on the way home and we'll find some. And so we wound up, stop on a couple little spots that we never would have found. Like this cool little diner that we found, and we went to this town that we never would have experienced. It was just someplace it wasn't a destination that we had in mind. Like, oh, we have to
Right.
get back home in 3 hours.
You
It
just
was like,
went.
let's just go and let's.
Yeah.
It was such a cool experience to
Yeah.
be able to just say, fuck it, I'm going to take a day and just, you know, take our time and find things and go on this adventure. And doing that together with her it was amazing. It really was. It was one of those
It's
moments.
like it's the adult adventure, and it's like you're just, rather than walking around the woods and going to the end of the creek, you're taking your car and not, putting in anything into the GPS and just sort of going and seeing where it takes you and figuring out, and know that you're going to be okay. You'll find your way back home, but like for now, you're just going to see where it takes you, and you'll end up somewhere that you've never been before. And that's awesome.
So before we end up this episode, I wanted to give you one last opportunity to just clarify the whole baby thing. I just want to make sure that people are not taking that the wrong way. So you in no way are endorsing any violence towards anyone, really.
No one. Yeah, you shouldn't be hurting anybody. Um, Unless they are baby killers, then you hurt them.
So we're gonna go that way. Okay, I wanted to give you one more chance to
To
just.
redeem. I didn't. No, just yeah. Like I said, maybe we cut that. I don't know. We'll just go with it.
So how can
Yeah.
people reach out to you to comment on that? Let's
On
start
that
there.
one, yeah. No, we don't even need to go into my tags or anything with that one.
So you can find Building Men on Instagram, building.men. You can find the Building Men. It's Building Men Podcast on Facebook. My email, buildingmencoach@gmail.com. Reach out to me or Anthony, your coach, Anthony Moralda, on
Yep.
Instagram.
Yep. And reach out with topics too. Like I would love to hear what other people would want to talk about or hear us talk about, or kind of things that maybe people are curious about. Like one thing I want to get into is relationships,
Yeah.
as far as like your significant other and who you've been with, and like how you make that work, not only in like the beginning but also long term, how you make it last long, right? Like mom and dad, and with you, and how you had to create a new relationship. And I think that that would be a good topic to get into. And yeah, so if anyone has any topics they want covered or something, I think that would be cool.
Yes, absolutely. Reach out for any any thoughts on that, any feedback that you have about our conversations. I love hearing for people that are listening about their experience listening to us and listening to the podcast. It's funny that you should mention that. I asked Julie to be my first female guest,
Mm.
Building Men, and I set a goal to do 52 episodes in a year, to do one episode a week for a year. And during that rebuild program, I do you remember I said, all right, I'm going to do at least one a year, one a week. I need to just get back on track. I was doing one every like 9 days or 10 days.
Yeah.
And I felt a lot of pressure around releasing a podcast when it was just me doing it. I would sit and be like, all right, what am I going to talk about today? And then I would like, think about it. And I would go on, and it just didn't seem natural,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so what I started to do was like, all right, I'm just going to, especially our conversations, just to kind of put shit out there. But what I'm at now is I'm ready. By the time I get to July 1st, which will be a year since I started, I'll be up to like 65.
That's crazy.
Because I just started like, all right, I'm going to move in full force forward with this whole thing. But I asked Julie to be my first female guest on the podcast because she has a lot of great ideas about, femininity, masculinity, kind of how they, the yin and the yang, to support each other. But I want it to be kind of like, that'll be season 2. So her episode will be like, okay, season 2 will be like, okay, exploring that relational kind of aspect, relationships.
Mm.
And the Building Men thing too, it's, while we gear it towards men, I think some of the female listeners get a lot out of it, like how do men think? And we're interested in how men think, not just how we think. We're interested in how other men think and how they show up for situations. So I think that will help out a lot as well, like how we're dealing individually with relationships, with how we deal with it, how we deal with it with a significant other, and how that helps us understand masculinity on a deeper level moving forward.
Yeah, and how the feminine looks at the masculine, right? So what do they see? Because how they define it and what they get out of it and what they want in the masculine is completely different from what I would want in the masculine. Like who I would want in my tribe is not who necessarily the feminine would want to be with, right? Is they don't want that type of person. Like maybe a masculine person wants someone to, have their back and push them and do this. It's like maybe the feminine wants more support and someone who is there to kind of protect them in a sense, or for them to feel comfort and them to be their own person. And like maybe it's the same, but there's definitely a difference between what a feminine sees, so that's what I find it so interesting, like what a man wants in the feminine and what the masculine wants in the feminine, what the feminine wants in the masculine could be totally different, so that's going to be an interesting interview that you'll do.
So fascinating. I'm an educator at heart, but I'm also a sociologist. I have my, part of my degree is in sociology. So I'm so interested in group dynamics and how groups of people interact with one another. And so if you're looking at things in a larger philosophical sense of men and women, masculine, feminine, I'm just really, really interested in that topic. So season 2 will dive into that a lot more. And you'll be along for that journey. So I'm thinking about this episode. We're definitely going to talk about, going on adventures. I think I'm gonna have to throw a salad into the title and
salad. Yeah. Fill your salad with cucumbers and celery sticks or carrot sticks or something. Yeah. You're
text me while you come up with something creative. You got to text me because I'd like the tribe adventures and carrot sticks or salad.
Put your tribe in a big salad. Throw your men should be salads.
How come all my subscribers left after that one episode, Anthony?
Yeah.
What the hell happened with the salad? We went off on a weird journey.
I want you in my salad. I'm going to start telling people that. You're in my salad. You're my carrot. You're my carrot stick.
I laughed a lot today. This was a good.
That was really funny. I know. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I'll text you what a good name, because I feel like there's a lot of golden nuggets in there that we could use for the name for this one,
So good time. I hope you have a good weekend. You want to take us out? You want your John Johnson Rod voice to kind of take us out here and tell everybody we'll see you next time on Building Men. I'm gonna release the responsibility to you. Here we go.
Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time on Building Men.
Nailed it. Got it. Stop.